Bhakti Devi Swami Tinamini. Namaste Krishna Pranaya Prabhupada Shitatmanisti Gora Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tinamini. Narayana Namaskritya Narunchevam Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Gudirayat Nashta Prayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavatu Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate 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 Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna. Good morning, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So this morning, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, status quo, chapter 5, and text 9. Tina prajanam utatma karma rupa bidanam chabidam vyadata narayano vishvasvik atmayuni etachanu varnaya vipravarya. Tina prajanam uta atma karma rupa bidanam chabidam vyadata narayano vishvasvik atmayuni etachanu varnaya vipravarya. Tinam pradhanam uta atma karma rupa vidanam chabidam vyadasta narayano vishvasvik atmayuni etachanu varnaya vipravarya. Hare Krishna. Please chant.
Yena prajanam utatma karma rupa bhidanam cha bhidanam vyadatta narayano vishvarga atma yonir yecha no varnaya vipravarya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yena prajanam mutatma karma rupadhidanam chabidam bhayadhata narayana vishvarga atmajoni etachana bharnaya vipro bharya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yena prajanam atma karma rupa vidanam cha vidam vayadatta narayano vishwasrit atmayonir etachano varnaya vipravarya.
Hare Krishna.
Yena prajanam karma rupa vidhanam cha vidham vyadatta narayano visvargatmayonir etachano varnaya vipravarya.
Yena prajanam uta atma karma rupa bhidanam cha bidam vyadatta narayano vishvasrik atma yonir etachano varnaya vipravarya.
Jai. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay. Word for word. Dena, by which, Prajanam, of those who are born, Uta, as also, Atmakarma, destined engagement, Rupa, form and nature, Abhidhanam, endeavors, Cha, also, Vidham, differentiation, Vyadasta, dispersed, Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishvasri, the Creator of the universe, Atmayoni, self-sufficient, Etat, all these, Cha, also, Na, unto us, Vanaya, describe, Vipravarya, O chief amongst the Brahmanas. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O chief amongst the Brahmanas, please also describe how Narayan, the creator of the universe and the self-sufficient Lord, has differently created the natures, activities, forms, features, and names of the different living creatures. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Every living being is under the plan of his natural inclinations in terms of the modes of material nature. His work is manifested in terms of the nature of the three modes. His form and bodily features are designed according to his work, and his name is designated according to his bodily features. For example, the higher classes of men are white, Shukla, and the lower classes of men are black. This division of white and black is in terms of one's white and black duties of life. Pious acts lead one to take birth in a good and highly placed family, to become rich, to become learned, and to acquire beautiful bodily features. Impious acts lead one to become poor by parentage, to be always in want, to become a fool or illiterate, and to acquire ugly bodily features. Vidura requested Maitreya to explain these differences between all the living creatures made by Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Oma Gyanati Virandasya, Gyana Gyana Shalakaya, Chakshu Umilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam, Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha, Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitantam Sajivam, Sadvaitam Savadutam, Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vishabhanu Sute Devi, Paramani Hari Priye. Vanchakalpatarubhesya Kripa Sindhubhe Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Sunyavari Paschatya Deshatarine. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurati Namaha. Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Himabhi Divacha Vishundaraya Tasmi Mahaprem Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. So the English translation again. O chief among the Brahmanas, please also describe how Narayan, the creator of the universe and the self-sufficient Lord, has differently created the natures, the activities, forms, features, and names of the different living creatures. Hare Krishna. So this is a question or request put by Vidura to Maitreya after their meeting. Maitreya was going on pilgrimage from place to place, and he met with Uddhava first and wanted really to find out more Krishna consciousness from Uddhava. But Uddhava deferred to Maitreya for reasons the fact that Krishna had taught Maitreya as he had taught Uddhava also, but that Maitreya was older, and so as a matter of etiquette and respect, he was asking, Uddhava was asking that Maitreya be the one to give Krishna Katha information and answers to Vidura's questions to him. So that's where we are now. And he's asking now about the material energy. This is not surprising. It's not the first time somebody that's highly elevated has asked about things involving the material nature. Markandeya Rishi also asked the same kind of question. And Krishna actually took him through quite a few changes in order to have him realize what happens. First, there was so much pralaya, so much weather turmoil. He actually thought he was even going to die. But finally, when it subsided, then he saw a baby, and the baby was sucking on the big toe. He went close to the baby because the baby looked so beautiful. The baby was Krishna, actually. And so when he got close to, this is Markandeya Rishi, got close to the baby, then he got sucked into the body of the baby. And then his request became manifest to him. The material energy was all showed to him. And then later on, he was released and he found himself back in his ashram. So that's a whole incident, the way it's been happening. In this case, Vidura is just requesting from Maitreya to just verbally, say how the material nature is put together. Material nature is very much put together, and the living entity's experience, as we well know, is based on karma. And so since there are karma for individuals and karmas for societies, karmas for nations, and karmas even for planets, even that's there. Therefore, clearly there has to be some divisions, and the natures set up in a certain way so that based on a person's karma and what is supposed to happen, some situations will happen to that person. Or based on certain things that are supposed to happen to a group of people, they will take birth and move to a particular location for that thing to happen. That's why, even though on this planet there are wars, there's a lot of wars going on in different places, there are not wars going on in every place. There are some places where there's peace. And there's some places where there's relative peace. There's never real peace in this material world. Even where there's peace, there's still disease. So that doesn't go away. But the traumatic situation of wars or pralayas, the weather changes that causes problems, and death and destruction happens in different parts. The general warning from these things are to tell us we're not home, because those of us that know about the spiritual world know that we came from there, and we also know, we've been told by the authorities, the scriptures, that it is a place of complete peace and happiness. And so that's where we need to go, and we've come to the wrong place because we had the wrong ideas in mind regarding Krishna. And so now we've got to know who he is. He spoke it himself in Bhagavad Gita on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He had spoken this earlier. And things just had over time and through the parampara, the knowledge had been shared. The knowledge about Veda was shared. The knowledge about the Vedas in general were also shared. Mm. So all of that. Brahma was given the knowledge of Vedas. And, he taught his son Narada, and Narada met Vyas, and Vyas talked about it. Then he was, on down, Madhavacharya, and so, and then all the way down to Srila Prabhupada. I just go through the whole list the other day. I was actually looking for it because Srila Prabhupada listed the parampara, the succession. Mm-hmm. But in this case here, this question has been thrown to Maitreya. Mm-hmm. And it's always one of the things that we need to take note of. It's when these pure devotees or high-level devotees are speaking to each other, they always address them very, very, very nicely. Mm-hmm. By title especially. Never really by name, by title. Or at least some description about them that is very elevated and respectful. So Vidura starts talking to Maitreya by saying, "O chief among the Brahmanas." Sometimes when we're talking about someone who is a member of the Kurus, they'll say, "O best of the Kurus." So always it's a good idea to address someone that you want information from or deserves respect by some title that elevates them. In ISKCON, it's simple. When you meet a spiritual master, you say Guru Maharaj or Guru Maharaj. The spiritual master has a name. Still, we say, "Oh, Guru Maharaj," based on his position, in the parampara, that we are under that particular Guru. So, please also describe how Narayan, the creator of the universe, and the self-sufficient Lord, again, Vidura is talking about what Narayan had done, Lord Vishnu, and the fact that he's self-sufficient. Atmaram. So again, talking about Narayan, he talked about something wonderful about him. He's self-sufficient. So then the question has come. So he addressed Maitreya nicely. He addressed Narayan nicely. And then the question came. I want to know how nature's activities, forms, features, and names of the different living creatures have been put together. So please give that information. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, every living being is under the plan of his natural inclinations in terms of the modes of material nature. As a matter of fact, in the scriptures, it says, Prakriti Kriyamanani Gunai Kamani Sarvasa. Our activities are actually under the modes of material nature, even though we think that we are the doers, because we are into this I and mine kind of thing. I do this, and this is mine, and I'm using, which is actually an illusory kind of thought. These things are mine. Nothing belongs to us. Material nature is one where we're born into. Material nature is there before we're born. It's always there before we're born. Because if we look at Mahavishnu, from whom the universe has come, and then Garbhodaksaya Vishnu, different, through Lord Brahma, the different creations within the universe. Then we're talking about, after that, living entities. So when the living entities come into being, the universe is already in place. And when the living entities leave, they can't take anything with them. So we don't really own anything in material nature. But our actions based on goodness, passion, and ignorance determine what happens next. And so we're put into different situations, lifetime after lifetime, even though there are certain things that are there. People are being born in the Middle East. They are being born there. War is going on in some parts of the Middle East. So based on that person's, whatever they've done in the previous lives, that is now to the point where they have to suffer the sinful reaction or enjoy whatever the good things that they did, they get put in that particular place. Mm? Otherwise, the Lord will be unfair. That why is it that He's making some people live lavishly and some people are suffering like anything? It all has to do with the previous lives and what happened there. Mm? Someone like the Dhritarashtra was lamenting, why? If only my mother had not closed his eyes at the time that Vyasadeva was impregnating her, I wouldn't have been born blind. But the fact of the matter was, 50 lifetimes ago, he had made another living entity blind. So he was going to pay back. And that was the situation. So the way it connects to this is the activities and the natures and the forms that we get and the features all are based on what we ourselves did in the previous lives. Based on what we did in the previous lives. So nobody can say, okay, well, there's this situation here and that situation here. And if you're born in this particular body, then your intelligence is only so much. That is true. Dogs don't have the same intelligence as human beings. It's just the way it is. Mm? And if you don't like it, why are you in the material world in the first place? You have to plan to go. That's why Christians saying get out of here and be in the spiritual world where there is, or go to the spiritual world when there is love, where there's good service to each other and loving sentiments and no problems anywhere. The place of no anxiety, no lamentation. So Srila Prabhupada, because this question has been asked, he also goes to some details in his purport that the work is manifested in terms of the three modes of nature. There's no question about it. A person is either good or is passionate or is acting ignorantly. No question about it. All our actions are like that. So form and bodily features are designed according to his work. The donkey is a beast of burden. So his form is designed, the strength that's been given, horses carry people and the strength of the horse has been given for the purpose, that purpose. That's why they can do it. So the bodily features determine what happens. The horse is designed so that we can jump on the back of the horse and ride it, and he can bear the weight and run at the same time. You cannot so easily put one human being jumping on the back and another human being just running. And the children can play with that because their weight's not so big, but you have adults, they can't do that. So therefore, the natures are, and the bodily features and what they have to do are all thought of and put together. Now, Srila Prabhupada did mention the higher classes of men are white and the lower classes of men are black. I looked up some references on that too, and he talked about different races and some who are the Aryan race and some who are not. Now, the situation, since it's already in the purport and it's going to stay in the purport for I don't know how many years, the situation is going to come up where some people may ask, is Srila Prabhupada being racist and saying that classes of men that are higher are white and classes of men that are lower are black? You have to be able to respond to them. You can't say Srila Prabhupada is wrong then because they will rule him out totally then, everything else they says. But why is the situation that way? That's why we give examples. There are some people that are born in places where war is going on. There are some people who are born in some places where there's so much of the material energy that has been investigated, and some more products have come out of that. And so for the most part, those that are fair-skinned in certain areas have been able to use the material energy more than those of dark color in different places. That didn't do that. But what does that mean? It means that there are those who develop more with the material nature or did more with the material nature are better. Well, now, if you think that way, then you're thinking according to the flesh, and you're already wrong. If you think that way, you're wrong. So the answer to that is we're not these bodies anyway. The mind that produced the things that in science and that keeps going on now is also not us. We really are the soul. And when it comes to the soul, the quality of the soul in any kind of body is the same. So that's the defense. Srila Prabhupada says things as they are, but he also says that we're not these bodies. Therefore, nobody should spend so much time on it. Hmm? Now, there was one incident, actually, it happened twice. That means two different devotees who are black bodies, specifically African American. They went to the Prabhupada to complain that other devotees who are white bodied were being racist towards them. And Srila Prabhupada responded to. Hmm? One of them was my own spiritual master. His own is Bhakti Swami. He went to Srila Prabhupada and talked about the fact that some white body people treat black body people, or they put them down and so on. So Srila Prabhupada did not say that it wasn't happening. Srila Prabhupada acknowledged it. Yes. Hmm? Now, he responded, and I'll paraphrase it, but the same idea. Srila Prabhupada said that those who are white, if they are putting down black people because of racism based on their body, then they are ignorant. Because I've told you, we're not these bodies. And for the same reason, you in a black body, if you let that type of activity bother you, then you're also the same situation. Hmm? And you're also a nuisance. They actually use the word nuisance. The whites that do that to blacks are nuisance because they're not understanding who we really are. They're the soul. And the black people that have made a huge issue of it, they're also ignorant because they also have to understand that it's a mistake from those who are acting on the bodily level. And so she talked to Bhakti Swami and Krishnandini Mataji, who was left about. Both of them were left about, actually. Mm-hmm. And so from that situation, nobody ever went to, that we know of to Srila Prabhupada to discuss race issues. And to give credit to everybody, wow, we really, Srila Prabhupada said it so many times, we're not the body, we're not the body, we're not the body. And so we actually relate at a higher level, not at the material level. So that doesn't become so important. Still, Srila Prabhupada does in fact end it by saying that the division of white and black is in terms of the duties, white and black duties of life, which was, I found it quite an interesting statement. Mm-hmm. We can talk about that more, but I won't belabor it so much. Now, then he talks about karma. Pious acts lead to somebody taking a birth, that soul going into a good and highly placed family. And speaking about that, Srila Prabhupada said that even if a devotee starts this process and doesn't take it so seriously, does it like, piecemeal, and doesn't go through the whole process to earn the mercy of the Lord and mercy of Guru to go back, and they're born again. They will be born in a human body. They will also be born in either a family that is basically devotees, the parents are devotees, really fixed up, so that the person, whatever it is that they did not take seriously in the previous life, in this new life, they will take more seriously under the guidance of the parents, who themselves are devotees. Or if money was an issue and the person had to make, so many adjustments in life just to have enough finances to go on, and that also, in turn, made them not take their spiritual life or spiritual duties or responsibilities so seriously, then they will be put in a family where money is not an issue, because the family is quite well off. So then they can be free enough to take spiritual life more seriously without having money be an issue. And so those are there. Now, that's for devotees. For non-devotees, those who have lived a life of piety, mode of goodness for the most part, they will be, that's a reward, coming back in the body, going into even some of the heavenly planets to enjoy higher standard of material life and also an extended lifetime that's much longer. it's all the way up to the trillions of years by our calculation that someone like Lord Brahma lives. Many of the residents in the Brahma Loka, at the very least, 15 trillion years they live. And this is also stated in the Shastra. Those in the Mahaloka is about 4 or 3 planets down from Brahma Loka in terms of his position. Some of them live a day of Lord Brahma, 4,320,000,000 years, and all in wonderful, Bhrigu is there. That's one of the places one of the examples of a demigod who is in Mahaloka. 4,320,000,000 years of mode of goodness and better standard, way better standard of living than we have here. So that's based on karma. So pious acts lead the person to take good birth in a good or highly placed family, to become rich. Sometimes pious acts causes a person to become rich, even though they did not get born in a rich family, but things work out well for them. They themselves acquire wealth, and it seems to be fairly easy to get to that point of becoming wealthy. To become learned, it's another one too, or to be good looking. Those are all from acting in a mode of goodness, even if it's material goodness. Those are all things here in this material world. Because we do have to ask things about the material features. So impious acts, person acting in a mode of ignorance, destroying their own bodies by putting things that they shouldn't be putting in a body that destroys the body, doing it anyway and not caring, or disturbing other people, acting ignorantly to other people, acting without caring. Insensitivity can really, really, really cause people in their lives, after their lives, when they're insensitive, to face situations in the hellish planets that are actually very, 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 very disturbing. And then they'll get born into a body. This is all for non-devotees now. You're born into a body that is not human. And Srila Prabhupada says, when one person slips from a soul, slips from the human body to next life into a non-human body, it takes millions of years before they get another human body. So it's quite a sentence, a horrible sentence, but you won't have that level of intelligence for humans anymore. So when one is actually causing so much trouble as a human being, you ought to feel sorry for them, because what they're asking for is a next life that's going to be very, very precarious. Suffering in a hellish planet and then being born in a non-human type body for the next life. And as the Prabhupada says, going through that particular type of body and the next body and the next body, a non-human type, for millions of years before he gets a human body. But when we become a devotee, those things are very much, Srila Prabhupada explained, Krishna, Lord Brahma explained to Krishna, is very, 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 very affectionate to his devotees. The fact of the matter is that Bharad Maharaj took care of a deer and stopped doing his services, his devotional service, as he was going to do. But when he died thinking about a deer, and then there's nobody above that situation. Thinking of a deer, the mind is thinking of the deer, the mind has a picture of a deer, and you are leaving the body, and the mind, the subtle body, carries the soul to its next existence. So he couldn't get out of that situation. He thought of a deer, he got put in the deer's body. But because he was a devotee of the Lord, and in fact, the son of the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bharad Maharaj was in fact Lord Rishabhadev's son. So even though he was put in a deer body, he was also given some boons, even in a deer body. So it wasn't just an ordinary deer. An ordinary deer does not remember anything about the previous life. Even human beings don't remember anything about previous lives. But in the deer body, Krishna allowed him to remember that he was, in fact, the Bharad Maharaj, the emperor, who actually put himself in this situation. So that when the deer died, and he came out of the deer body, He didn't have to go through millions of years anymore, just like it happens to those who are non-devotees. He got born as a human being immediately. So again, that was another break that Krishna gave. So Krishna does in fact favor the devotees. Even though he's equal to everyone, the rules are there, and Bharat Maharaj couldn't get out of the fact that he thought about the deer and he could be born in a human body right away. No, he didn't go back to Godhead, and he got put into the body based on what he was thinking at the time of death. So he had to go through a deer body, but Krishna helped him because of Krishna's affection towards devotees. Mm-hmm. So, in one sense, just to turn, not even in a sense, the conclusion is to turn towards Krishna has so many advantages to it that even if we make mistakes, things that we shouldn't have done, like in the case of Bharat Maharaj, still Krishna will kind of commute the sentence and give some things too. The sentence was clearly commuted. He went into a deer body, but not for very long. Just a few years, and he left the deer body, and there he was, back in the human body. So material designations, they give rise to instability sometimes and disagreement. That can happen. But karma, especially, has to do with it and involves activities that give rise to reactions, good and bad. Now, speaking about karma, I just use it generally. But in Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, karma is brought up again. And even in the teachings of Lord Kapila is brought up. So there are three: karma, akarma, and vikarma. And that's explained in Canto 11, chapter 3, text 43. So karma, specifically, are prescribed there. It says prescribed duties authorized by revealed scriptures are called karma. Whereas a karma is in a different situation. Performance of forbidden activities, that's vikarma, performance of forbidden activities. Now, a karma does relate to what devotees actually do. We put in that category. And in the teachings of Lord Kapila, in chapter 16, he explains it because in Sankhya philosophy, so he's talking about some of the material things and also spiritual. So we can make comparison and choose the spiritual over the material. And he says karma is regulated work, and vikarma means just the opposite, unlawful, forbidden activities. Now, akarma, which actually involves the way devotees are supposed to look at work, akarma means that one is not affected by the results of work. This is exactly what Krishna was telling Arjuna. You have work to do based on your expertise, based on what you've learned. You are a soldier, you have to fight, but don't worry about the results of it. As a matter of fact, he went to the extent of saying, whatever the results are, it's still to your advantage. If you die, you go to the heavenly planets. If you don't die, you get to be the king of this particular planet. Either way, you're going to enjoy it. So akarma means one is not affected by the results of work. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Yagyatar karmano nyata loko yam karma bandhana. Tat artam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu, that has to be performed. Otherwise, the work binds us to this material world, which means everything that we do, we should either directly do it for serving Krishna or Vishnu, or indirectly for serving Krishna or Vishnu. And that's why it stressed so many of us sannyasis. And I remember Deva Swami stressing that to me when I was first new in Krishna consciousness in Washington, D.C. He says, well, you may be teaching chemistry, that may be material work, but you have to take some of what you earn from it and give it to Krishna. That way, then that work is also being spiritualized, because it's because of that work that you have gotten the money to give as a donation to Krishna, to Krishna's service. Therefore, if we don't do that, then the work binds us to the material world, because then we're thinking only of doing material things with that, what we get from the work, the remuneration or the pay, as we say, we just get paid. We don't do that, then we're only turning ourselves to the darkness of life, the material world, and material activities. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in that way, you always remain unattached and free from bondage. So the challenge to us is always, always, always come up with ways to use whatever you're doing to serve Krishna, to serve Guru, and to serve his devotees. Always. Krishna is very pleased when we serve the devotees, because he's very affectionate to his devotees. So anyone that serves the devotees, Srimati Radharani is pleased, and Krishna himself is also pleased. And so is the spiritual master. So prescribe your duty, perform your prescribed duties for Krishna's satisfaction. And that's a general pervading word. When he say his satisfaction, performing duties means perform duties for devotees, serve devotees, serve Guru, and also serve the deity. That way we'll remain unattached and free from bondage. It also makes it easier for us to be unattached, to be detached from the material world, especially at the time of death, when we need to have our minds detached from the material world and focusing on Krishna. If we're not in the habit of giving gifts, then we will be attached to what we own, or what is in our, we actually don't own anything, but what is in our possession. And that is going to make us think more of what is in our possession at the time we are on our deathbed. And that's going to keep us from going back to the spiritual world. So the more we give, the better we are. But better than that, the more we give for Krishna's activities. That's the best. Now, also in Srimad Bhagavatam, the same canto, 11th canto, chapter 3, text 16, there are duties. And Prabhupada explained the Supreme Personality of Godhead's external potency, the separated potency. That's Maya. It's that which causes the birth, maintenance, and destruction of the material world. Birth, maintenance, and destruction. The material world comes to be, it's maintained for a while, and is destroyed. So that's 3 phases. And so Maya is described as tricolored, red, white, and black. So in her red feature, the material nature is created. In the white feature, it's maintained, it endures. And then in the black feature, it is annihilated. So even Maya has been given colors in that sense. In the King of Knowledge, Rajavija, chapter 8. So very good advice is given for devotees. First, about karma. The path of karma is very intricate. Therefore, we should understand the distinctions between karma, which is prescribed duties, akarma, which is duties where we are detached from the results, and vikarma, the things that are bad we shouldn't be doing. Vikarma is things that will put the person in the hellish planet. Now, the Ancient Papa makes a point. If we simply engage in Krishna consciousness, then everything becomes clear. Just engage in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, then we'll have to make distinctions between what we should do and what we should not do, in order not to become entangled. Follow the instructions of Guru, do what it tells you to do. Some of it does involve some austerity. Anybody that takes devotional life seriously has to change parts of their life. Sometimes a significant part of their life. They would like to get up whenever, but it's been advised that the Brahma Muhurta time is best for chanting. So then we get up at Brahma Muhurta time. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing that. We have to be careful how we talk to people, because if we make people's feelings, give bad feelings to people, then we're committing a parade. So now we're being careful. We're told to be careful how we speak. Sometimes we don't speak because we may say something that will go make the person upset, and then it will go against us. So we have to be careful not to put people in a situation where they will be suffering. So the laws of nature are very strict and they are stringent. They don't change for anybody. Fire will burn. A child touches fire, the fire won't say, oh, that's a child. He doesn't know, therefore, no, I will not burn it. No, it will go through. Even if the child is ignorant or innocent that that can happen, it will happen anyway. So the laws of nature are like that. Still, we are being guided through Krishna consciousness. And with that, then everything becomes clear. So even when it comes to, as we talked about already, our karma or our karmic activities, that is doing activities and not being attached to the results of it. That's for devotees. That's what we advise to act. So in the execution of this, our karmic duties, there may appear to be some reactions sometimes, but in actuality, they're not. When we work under the directions of Krishna, there are no reactions. We're not put under the situation that we'll have to suffer or not suffer. Sometimes some challenges are faced when we're acting or when we're doing devotional service, even that. But those are to help to strengthen our resolve, to be more determined in our services. Sometimes the weather becomes difficult. We're in winter. We're just starting winter now, so there'll be times that there'll be snow, and somebody will have to come from home to the temple to do some work, and there'll be some challenges in trying to get to the temple. But this is where we have to be more determined to find ways to get the service done. To find ways to get the service done. Sometimes it would mean having to have somebody help out in that situation that can get to the temple at a better time. Sometimes you have to arrange something, but we have to be at that point. We have to be something called spiritual anxiety. We have to be in anxiety to make sure that the bottom line of what I do has to be that the service has to get carried out. Whether I physically show up or not, it has to get carried out. So then either try to come or immediately get into mode of doing something about it. Then I'll tell one story that happened. This will be our last story. Rath Yatra for Harrisburg. We started Rath Yatra. This is about 14 years ago, thereabouts. The Rath Yatra was started in Harrisburg. The second year, first year I think went quite smoothly. Is it the second or the third year? Something had happened with the devotee, Papa disciple, that was supposed to bring the Rath Yatra cart from his house to Harrisburg. He was coming from Ohio, so he had quite a few, to travel. And something had happened with the cart. So in the middle of the night, I got a call that it was him. And he explained that he won't be able to bring the cart to Harrisburg. So here we were, everything arranged. And we thought he was coming, and now he wasn't coming. So what happened? Well, around 5 o'clock, you have to think something. I was up. I called my god brother Ikavir, told him what had happened. Now he's in Gitanagri. We called, and we had a discussion on the phone. And both of us at 5:30, we walked to this is Gitanagri, the Goshala. The temple president was also, he had the duties of milking cows, so he was in the Goshala. And he saw the two of us coming. He says, 5:30 in the morning, these two are coming towards me. There must be something happening. So we told him, well, set behind basin says, God, Shilpa, God, we were all, disciples of the same spiritual master. we said what had happened. And so we think that we should have the Gideonagri cart be sent to Harrisburg, and that's why we're here. He agreed immediately. And so he showed us where the cart was, and we did some cleaning, make it, appear presentable, and a few things about how to get it to work and how to lower and lower and raise the top part of it. We know at the other carts what they look like, and then trying to get somebody with a truck to come take it. Anyway, a lot of things happened. Finally, when we made this truck, we got there to Harrisburg with the Ratyatra cart on somebody's truck that we've actually gotten. So many challenges came. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Normally, we start decorating cart at 7 o'clock in the morning. 1 o'clock in the afternoon when the cart got there. So we had to do what we have to do. We have to do it because the devotees jumped on it immediately. Within an hour, they had actually gotten everything set. And at 2, we started the Ratyatra procession. You have to be determined when it comes to Krishna, especially Krishna conscious activities. More so than even our own material activities. We always prioritize the spiritual before the material. And then Krishna will be happy with us. Things will happen. That's material world, but never give up. And don't get attached to the results of anything that we do. That way, then we are at the transcendental level in our activities. And we will definitely, but already loves us very much, and so does Krishna. So we will get the results which are wonderful for us in our next life after we leave this body. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So you can unmute yourself now and join the conversations. Interesting text that Tudura was inquiring.
Really amazing that Radhayatra thing, Prabhu. When Krishna wants, everything will be fall in place.
Yes.
we are just instrumental. That's all we do it.
That's the way we're supposed to think ourselves.
He is the one who does everything.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Prabhu, I want one this thing again. Akama karma and sakama karma.
You want me to explain again?
I want to write it down there.
Oh, okay. So specifically, karma.
What is akama karma?
Which one?
Akama karma.
Okay, akarma is doing activities but not being attached to the result. That's what the devotees are supposed to be about. That's the same advice Krishna gave to Arjuna.
But not expecting any results. Is that right?
Yeah, don't be attached. The devotees are don't be attached to the results that count.
Okay, attached.
Yeah. You have to work with detachment.
Okay.
Like Arjuna, he had to fight. Whether it would result in his leaving the body or not leaving the body, he wasn't concerned about that. Do the work and do the work for Krishna. Don't be attached to the results.
Okay, and what is the other one, Prabhu?
Vikarma, V-I, then karma. Vikarma is doing forbidden activities. In other words, acting in a mode of ignorance. Unlawful.
Doing for?
Forbidden activities or unlawful activities. Doing bad things. That's vikarma.
Okay.
And karma is doing your regulated work. Your regular work.
Regulated work.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it does mean, though, that if you're involved in kind of work, any kind of work that's against the regulated principles, then you're actually in the vikarma.
Oh.
You can't say, oh, so I sell cigarettes, but that's all right. I'm only selling them. But when you know that You are supporting people who are disturbing their own body, acting in a mode of ignorance. So we have to be discriminatory in the things that we get involved in. I know a couple of devotees who were truck drivers, and they made the company, they were very good, they were very reliable, and the company really liked them as employees. But they said to the management, based on my religion, because it's all they understand, the religion. So based on my religion, there's some things that I cannot haul for you. They were very clear. I cannot haul meat. I won't be able to haul meat. Yeah. So they made those things clear, and the management respected it. So they gave that kind of a job to the others who were not devotees, and the devotees actually got to carry or haul things, transport things that did not violate the regulated principles.
That's good.
You can do that. Yeah, you can do that. And if you really want to keep the principles and not let your job affect it, you can either get that permission, that exception from that job, or you'll have to change jobs. But Krishna will help you because he knows that you want to do that for honorable reason. There's not been one situation that the devotee situation was, I mean, the work situation was made precarious just because they wanted to obey the regulated principles.
Means regulated work means, that if he's not supposed, for example, if he's not supposed to work for meat or anything, he can tell them and then correct.
Yeah, yeah. I even know some devotees who were certified nurse assistants, CNAs. They're working in as we call them, old folks' home, and of course, during the day you work there, they eat meat, you have to feed them.
Oh.
So they certainly never worked in the kitchen because they don't have to cook with those kind of things. They didn't. And many of the devotees, they opted for the night shift. They opted for the night shift, 11 p.m. to 7 in the morning, because you don't have to feed them. Yeah, see, so you don't have to feed them at that time. Not a single person will be fed at that time. So then, they were getting the same pay. It was difficult having to do that graveyard shift, but for spiritual reasons,
Yeah.
they stayed away from the daytime shift. So they wouldn't have to feed them, these abominable things. So it's this life. If you're serious about going back home, then you make all those decisions. Otherwise, then it's come back to another life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Go ahead, Guranga.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just reflecting on Prabhupada's answer, about the color of the skin.
Yeah.
Over the years, even I have heard some really funny explanations, and this answer just, now makes it clear how to respond. I kind of understood, but I couldn't ever explain back or, retort back to them how to reply. But his answer that we are this body, and if you are also focusing, we tend to look at others' faults so much more deeply than we look at our own fault. But if I am being affected by it, that means I also am not in a position of understanding.
Yeah, that we're not the body.
But how do you sometimes people think that if the other person is suffering, it's because of their karma, that's why they're having to go through. How do you not we're told to be compassionate, but somebody is going through their suffering because of their own karma. Can you just
I think it's best to paint the picture about difficulties in the material world anyway, generally. People tend to think about their own difficulties, and it's based on the karma. And if the person does not, is not really conversant or knowledgeable about the general picture about what happens in the material world, and you say that it's because of your karma, they'll get upset with you and say, Hare Krishna, I don't know what's wrong with them. here I am suffering and they're so insensitive to me. That will have happened. I'm laughing because Bhattacharya Maharaj gave an example. And the way he said it, I still remember if you put this spell out. It says, oh, it's happened to me. This has happened to me. It's your karma, boo-boo. It's your
Yeah,
karma. It's your karma. Everybody was, he went into an act about it. Now,
no.
you cannot, we have to acknowledge the fact that the person is suffering. Hmm? That because you have to come to that level. That's the first way you start like that. Because if you start by acknowledging that yes, there is suffering in which you're going through suffering, and you act compassionately for that suffering, that's how you start. Then the person knows that you are empathizing with them. You're empathizing with them. Then you go to the response. The response is actually all of us are suffering. All of us are suffering. The reason you're suffering is because you're sitting in the material world.
To call him.
That's the real
To
reason.
call him.
Yeah, Dukam is Ashwatam. Yeah, it's temporary and full of miseries. That's the way it is. You're suffering. Somebody else has lost their home and their relatives because of one hurricane. Is that their fault? It's just so it's difficult in the material world, period. And so you're going through a difficulty, but the solution to it is get out of the material world. Get out of the material world. So yes, there's suffering, but that should make us, in other words, you should be more determined to get out because of the suffering. Because of the suffering. There was one Mataji who got initiated by Radha Govinda Maharaj 2 years before she left her body. Radha Govinda Maharaj already knew that Mataji was battling cancer. He went through some treatment. It was okay for a while, and it flared up again. Now, before she left the body, she got very discouraged. She was a young, young, fairly like barely 30 years old, had a 5-year-old child at the time, husband, and husband earning good money. They were living in a nice house and so on. This is in Harrisburg. A lot of them came from India to Harrisburg to give her initiation. Just only her, to give her that, Sutra Master merciful like that. So she was in a lot of pain, and she was being supported by different machines. That even the hospital, this husband had arranged for some of the machines to be brought to the house. And I got a call from him, not her, from him, her husband, saying that his wife had stopped chanting because he was just frustrated about the fact that as young as she was, she has been riddled with this particular disease. And see, that's why you have to be really sensitive because you can't say, oh, it's your karma. You can't say that at that time. The husband is saying, his point to me was, he's gotten other devotees to come talk to her, but she's not listening, and she's blaming Krishna for what has happened, and she doesn't want to chant the rounds. And I said, okay, so put her on the phone. So she put on the phone. Now, all the while, I started praying to my Guru Maharaj, I am not a counselor. What do I tell this person? But they had called me because I was, by age older than them, and then maybe, she has the etiquette of listening to adults and people who are older than her. She was, but I don't know what to say. So I'm praying. And the first thought that came to mind is, whatever she tells you, you repeat to her. This is taught in sales courses. When somebody has an objection, trying to sell something to a customer, and they tell you what the objection is, you have to repeat that objection first so that they know you've heard them. Then you go into how to get around it so that they can actually get whatever product you're selling. So that's the first thing that came to mind. I was just praying, all right, what's the issue? She told me she wants to be a good mother, and she wants mother to her daughter and a good wife to her husband. And this disease is keeping her from doing that. That's why so that was the reason that she was feeling the way she was feeling. That she thinks that Krishna is not allowing her to be a good wife and a good mother. So then I repeated to her, I repeated what she had said, and he said, yeah. Then I said, actually, if you want to help your husband, and her husband was not initiated, the daughter was 5 years old, so clearly not initiated. She was the only one initiated. And I said, so you are initiated, which means if you make it back to the spiritual world, it's set up. The system is set up. The spiritual system is set up that you can also liberate your family members by you making it back to Godhead, though. And of course, a person that is a first class devotee can liberate up to 100 generations connected to that person. The least is 10 third class person. But if they make it back to the spiritual world, though. So so I explained to her that that's even way better if you make it back to the spiritual world than even what you can do for them materially as a wife and a husband. If you're going to liberate them, she said, "Oh, okay, I didn't know that." Then the next question came. I called her. I said by name. I said, "Nobody knows the problems you're going through. You know better than everybody what this disease has done to your body, to your body." Now, based on what you've done to your body, would you like to come back? You think you should come back next life and take another body, knowing what this body has done to you? He said, hell no. I don't want to take another body again because of what's happened to me, this body. And I said, so the only way to not get another body is make sure that you don't get into any kind of body next life, which means you have to free yourself from all bodies, or potentially getting any body. Which means what? Come out of the body and don't take another body. Which means your soul, which is you, shouldn't go to anybody. And when would that happen? He says the only way to happen is you can't stay in the material world. I said, that's right. Which means you have to go where? To the spiritual world. How do you go to the spiritual world? We've been given the ways to do it. What's one of the ways? We have to hear and do what else? We have to chant and say, that's right. Therefore, one, you know, when you go to the spiritual world, you get, if you're allowed in there, you get the mercy. You've got a spiritual master already, Diksha Guru. So if you do this process seriously, you're going to liberate your family, and even families of your grandchildren and great-grandchildren, they all get liberated. Your parents and your grandparents, your great-grandparents also get liberated. One, and you yourself don't have to deal with another physical body that can give you cancer again. So the result is what? Chant. She told me, I said, you got that right. I put down the phone and thanked my Guru Maharaj for giving me the reason to give to her. Half hour later, her husband calls me again. And he says, Babu, I don't know what you told my wife, but he is clutched onto her beat back like anything and won't put it down. I said, Haribo. Haribo. So that's what actually happened. Finally, yeah, she left about a few days later. And it was difficult for the family, but
it's very hard for her to, for her also, leaving the child and behind. Husband is okay, but child, small child, it's very hard for a mother to leave. That's true. That's true. God has given those attachments, For person will get married, and husband attachment, and then afterwards kids attachment, children attachment. No matter what it comes, we think that no, we should detach from the kids or family like that. But that attachments comes, once we are married and having family.
Yeah, it comes from our responsibility.
It's very hard to leave.
Yeah, we love them. And because we love them, that's why we have to try to make them Krishna conscious.
Yeah.
Because that's the best gift we can give them, make them Krishna conscious.
That's true.
It's not always, there are some people as they're listening and say, okay, my child can be my, but have Krishna conscious things around them, even if you can't, they got to the point and they're just so much in the material energy. Yeah. I'm talking about our children now, that you cannot turn their mind, or maybe you have a spouse that's not Krishna conscious. You married him or her before you heard about Krishna, or whatever the situation is, you wound up with that particular spouse. Still, remember the subconscious has such an effect on what happens to us, our own subconscious mind. That's why companies advertise so much to us. You look at it and say, conscious mind says, I don't care about what this advertisement is. I just want to get rid of it. But your subconscious picks it up. That's why the billboards are there. So with that understanding that the subconscious will pick it up anyway, your home, our homes, should have things that remind whoever that sees it of Krishna. That's one way to get around it. If you got to the point where people are adamant and they won't do anything in Krishna consciousness, and you find yourself with that kind of family, put things that remind you of Krishna as a decoration. Put pictures there that remind you of
Yeah,
Krishna.
that's true.
Because they're going to see it every day, whether they like it or not.
Yeah,
And the
that's true.
subconscious is going to pick up and pick up and pick up every day.
They're right,
So,
bro.
yeah, that's the only way. You advertise Krishna to them. You just advertise Krishna to them. Find out the kind of music that they like. And then look for devotees that have played Krishna conscious music with that kind of feel and play that music at your house. They like the beat, but it's about Krishna.
Yeah.
So then you just indirectly go at them like that. Through music and then also through the pictures. So then Krishna knows what you're doing. You got to be strategic like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that way, then there's no getting around it. All right, yeah, I like this music. Yeah, people like rap, so then put rap music that talks about Krishna. Listen to them like that. And so it will have an effect. It will have an effect. If in that lifetime they don't change the Christian consciousness because they have been loaded so much with it at the house that at another time, when Christians own plans, they will become Christian conscious at another time. Maybe in another body next life. Definitely Christian Prashadam. Definitely. If you yourself can't cook, bring it from the temple.
Yeah.
Find out what they like and bring the temple one and give it to them to eat. Like that. In that way, they're there, but you're actually fighting for them. In Krishna consciousness, you're actually fighting for them. Out of your love for them. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy. Hare Krishna. Any final comments? All right. Thank you very much for coming and having a wonderful Krishna Katha. So I know in the afternoon there will be programs, the temple, be there, Philly Temple, Harrisburg Temple, all of that there. Vanchakapatarupischa kripa sunive evacha
Tanam
patitanam
Pavane
pavane
Vaishnavi
Vaishnavevyo
Namo
namo
Namo.
namaha Sirupad ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna Bhakti
Hare
Devi.
Krishna.
Jai.
Hare Guru.
Hare Krishna. Bless you. Jai.